To me, the basic question we ought to be asking in this presidential race that nobody asks is, why is our life pretty good? Why is America prosperous? You've got 7 billion people on Earth, right? Less than 1 billion live anywhere near our level of wealth and comfort. So how come we did well and other places didn't? For a TV show, I asked an auditorium of high school students in New Jersey this question and got silence. And then finally one kid stood up and said, "It's because America invented democracy." They don't know about the Greeks. And then another kid stood up and said, "It's because we're a relatively new country, we have a lot of natural resources." And democracy is good, and natural resources are good, but that's not what makes a country prosperous. You've got countries in Africa that have enormous natural resources and they're poor. So as part of this show, I went around the world and looked at poverty in India and looked at this one weird place that has no natural resources and no democracy, and that's Hong Kong. It's just a rock. No democracy. It had the British rulers and now the communist Chinese. And yet Hong Kong, in an even faster time, went from third world to first world. Went from third world poverty to roughly our level of wealth. What did they have? They had the ingredients of prosperity. It's not natural resources. And I said to these kids in New Jersey, well, India's got democracy, India's got natural resources, India's poor. And they said, well, that's because India's overpopulated. But that's another myth. The population density of India and New Jersey are exactly the same. New Jersey does okay. Not great, but okay. But what does work are two things that Hong Kong and America, when we began, had. There's two ingredients. Rule of law is one. Clearly, you need that because the poorest countries in the world are the places where they don't have rule of law. So nobody builds a factory because you're afraid your neighbors may just steal what you make. Or, more likely, the dictator will take your whole factory. Why take the risk? Rule of law means if you have a deed to your land, it's yours. It means contracts can be enforced. It means if people cheat you, they can be punished. And this is what Hong Kong had. They had these British rulers who practiced benign neglect. It was wonderful. They enforced rule of law. They punished people who stole or killed. And then they sat around and drank tea. The government left free people alone, and free people in Hong Kong made themselves rich. We know what works. It's appalling. It's when there are 6 billion people on Earth not doing very well, and 2 billion struggling to live on a couple bucks a day, living horrible lives. We know the ingredients of prosperity. They could have that if they were freed from kleptocrat governments that take away their opportunity. So this was an epiphany for me to learn these things. As part of my show, I went around the world and I tried to open a business in India, and it was even worse than my lemonade stand. In Hong Kong, I could open it in a day. It cost $25. I opened a stupid business selling Walt Disney yo-yos and Frisbees that nobody bought, but that opportunity to try something, permissionless innovation, is what allowed Hong Kong to become rich. It's tougher in New York today because you can't open that business legally unless you're all lawyered up and you wait months.